Okay, go back, Mike. See that door? That's a door on the first floor to one of our rooms. It's covered 3/4 of the way with rubble. So Jared Witt and Haldor were to be in that room. Brad is across the hall. That's the hallway. Had Brad come out of his room, it would have come down on top of him. And it's 5 feet, 5+ feet of rubble. So he would have been at the bottom of that. There again, now you're looking down the hallway. See the door to the right? That's the hallway where Brad's room is on the left. So had he not been naked, he would have stepped right out into that. He had to crawl up over that to get out. This is the wall that fell on Alexandra. The kitchen is to the right here, and the whole wall up above fell on her. Jean's son was back behind there, and there was rubble there, and that's what John thought his son was buried back there. Again, more of that hallway. That's behind the bar. And here's our group inside the courtyard area. So more in Jacmel, more in the town. Yeah. You've seen images like this in Port-au-Prince. Somebody asked me, was Jacmel affected less than Port-au-Prince? The answer is no. The UN actually told us we were closer to the epicenter than Port-au-Prince. The difference is Jacmel is 40,000 people, Port-au-Prince is millions, and the authorities can't get into Jacmel. The road is blocked, so they can't get there. And so you're not seeing footage of Jacmel, but it was very, very bad. Lots of death. They're estimating over 10% of the population in Jacmel was killed. Over 10%. That would be over 4,000 people. So this is just, wherever we went, this is what we saw. And then buildings that remain standing, you see the structural damage that they still have. So they're deemed unsafe. Yeah. Mike, do you see? Okay, here we go. Go one more. Another one. Yeah. This is an auto school, mechanic school that we support through Ted Collet. It teaches young men to be mechanics, and it totally collapsed. And all right. So what happened then? That was Thursday. Friday, we ran out of food at the hotel Thursday. Friday, we run out of water. They tell us Friday evening there's no more water. And so we needed to get out. And so I talked to Verbo Friday night. He came back Saturday morning and says, I've rented 2 boats. Now, when I say the word boats, I'm using that loosely, okay? This was not a Caribbean cruise. And they were small, very small fishing boats. And they were seaworthy. I mean, they were safe, but they were very small. And they got tossed a lot in the waves, and the motor on the back had to fight through the waves. So it was 5 hours from Jacmel across the southern coast of Haiti to the Dominican Republic until our boat ran out of gas. So there's no cover on the boats, okay? We're out in the sun and trying to stay covered the best we can. We've got seasickness happening on both sides. I've got Laura on my left, Sarah on my right. At the beginning, I'm rubbing their backs, telling them it's going to be okay. After 3 hours of this, I'm just minding my own business. I'm hopped up on Dramamine, you know? My head's bobbing. I'm just trying to stay awake. So our boat breaks down, and so they find this outcropping where they drop us off. It's this kind of a bank of rocks, and the waves beat against that. We have to jump out. Jumping out was one thing, but then we had to get back in when the other boat came. It was about an hour and a half, 2 hours before the other boat came, and we had to get back in the boat. Now it's pitch black dark. You can't see the waves coming. And so one of the students grabs my arm and she says, not one of our girls, because they would never do this to me, but one of the students from Trinity Seminary grabs my arm and she goes, "We can't do this. This is a disaster waiting to happen." And I looked at her and I said, "You got another plan?" I'm open to suggestions, you know. Good leaders should always be open to suggestions. So she's like, "No." So I grabbed Jared and I said, "Get me in that boat." I said, "You can walk through the waves with me. Get me in. And I said, then you come back and you bring everybody through the waves, hold on to them, keep them from going behind the boat, because my fear was a wave would hit and somebody would get crushed between the boat and that rocky bank. And I said, get me in, then you bring people out, and I'll hook them and pull them into the boat. So that's what we did. So I got into the boat, and the boat's doing this, and I'm trying to balance, and Jared's walking people out, and I just reach down and hook them under their arm, and I'm throwing them into the boat. So Laura, the water's like up to here on her, and Jared brings her out, and I hook her arm, and I yank her into the boat, and she grinds against the side and splats down off of seats into the boat, and she turns to me and goes, thank you. And so we get everybody back in the boat. We go the rest of the way to the border of Haiti and Dominican Republic. We spent the night in this. It's a hotel under construction, but there were beds. But we couldn't take showers. There was nothing. And so we spent the night there. We got about 5 hours of sleep in that at that place. And then we walked across the border the next morning. Those of you who know Verbeau, Verbeau was just a saint. He was an angel from God. He cared for us tremendously. When we're going across the border, there's this little mobile home. That's the Haiti Customs Office. This guy shows up wearing a Denver Broncos jersey. He's the customs official. So he sits behind the desk. I go in with Verbeau, and I pay him our money. You got to pay to get out of Haiti, by the way. So if you're ever in Haiti, save $10. So I give him the money for the group, and I hand him my passport, and he's looking at it, and he goes, Mill? And I said, Hill. He goes, Mill? And Verbeau says, Hill, H, Hill, and he's trying to copy off he has to write it by hand on this piece of paper so we can get out of the country, and Verbeau's getting frustrated, so Verbeau goes, in Creole, and the guy goes, okay. And the man stands up. Verbeau goes behind the desk, sits down, and he's filling out our stuff, stamping our papers, Jared Witt comes out and he goes, Verbeau has just officially taken over Haitian customs. And the guy just sat there while Verbeau got us all out of the country. Yeah, amazing. So we walk across the border, and we get on the backs of motorcycles. You've seen trains, planes, and automobiles? We're boats, bikes, and feet. That's what we are. So we get on the backs of these motorcycles, and they take us to where there's a bus. And we take this bus, and I use that word loosely as well. We're crammed in. I'm holding my stuff on my lap, Tons of us crammed in there, others in there as well. And we take that bus for 5 hours from the border to Santo Domingo. We had 7 or 8 checkpoints along the way, military checkpoints, where they made us get out of the bus. They never looked at our credentials because we are blanc, white, but they pulled our Haitians that were in the bus out, and they grilled them. The Dominican Republic is paranoid that Haitians are going to storm the border and rush into the Dominican Republic, and so they're clamping down. So we get to Dominican Republic, go to the airport, do our best to get our flights changed and arranged, and then we had to find a hotel. We got to the hotel at like 7:30 that night, 8 o'clock. It was like 8 o'clock. They still had food, so we ordered food and we ate. So 3 people flew out on Monday, and the rest of us flew out on Tuesday. And we got in late Tuesday night here in Denver. But other than that, it was a pretty good trip. I'm starting the Doug Hill Travel Agency. I can't guarantee what will happen on your trip, but we promise to get you home, okay? So thank you for everything. Thank you for your prayers, your support.